Now, America's talking about the fact that report came out. We're preparing 2,000 soldiers to be sent out. About 2,000 U.S. troops told to prepare for deployment in response to Israel-Hamas war. This is an NBC story a couple days ago, okay? I'll read the story for you to think about. So here you go. So around 2,000 soldiers, 24-hour preparation to deploy orders, ready to provide support to Israel in response to the Hamas-Israel war. The troops include the diverse capabilities such as medical support and explosive handling, and were previously on 96-hour standby. The U.S. has already deployed the USS Dwight Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group to Eastern Mediterranean Sea, showing solidarity with Israel. The Israel Defense Forces are amassing forces at the Gaza border, preparing for coordinated attack involving the air, sea, and the land. The conflict began a significant terrorist attack by Hamas in Israel, resulting in over 2,800 casualties in Gaza and 1,400 casualties in Israel. Guess what? Those are 2,000 U.S. soldiers. Those are somebody's kids.
What do you call that? And what do you call that, Pat? We're sending the aircraft carriers, and then, Pat, ready for this? And you were in the military, 2,000 people ready to go. They're already declared war. If we go there and we put troops on the ground, what does that mean? We're at war.
Of course.
We're at war. And, Pat, here's my thing with the Ben Shapiro thing, Tom. Like, Ben Shapiro, and I get it, bro. This is a horrible thing. It's disgusting what happened, all the people's lives that were lost. But you can't expect other people to match your emotion in a situation, and they're not invested as much as you are. Ben is furious. I get it. I understand it. But he's expecting Tucker to have the same outrage as him. And I'm sorry, it's not. You can't expect that.
Let me tell you, Vinny, you and I are in America because of Jimmy Carter, okay? At least I'm in America because of Jimmy Carter, okay? Jimmy Carter goes to Iran, and all he's talking about is human rights, human rights, human rights. 3,000 political prisoners that Reza Pahlavi had, let him loose. He lets them loose. Those 3,000 political prisoners led to, Osama bin Laden, led to all the other things that happen around the world, led to all these ISIS, all these different things. At one point, Reza Pahlavi had them. So on the outside, we're like, yeah, Jimmy Carter, human rights, as if you know who the 3,000 political prisoners are. Was there some situations that maybe Savak and others were extreme? Of course. Yeah, just like there is stories of Mossad, just like there's stories of CIA, just like there's, of course, yes. U.S. is also not free from that situation of what CIA and Mossad and others have done. But what ended up happening is they ended up here. So what's my bigger concern? Here's my bigger concern. We live in America, okay? So it's like, oh, here's a problem, here's a problem, here's a problem. Yeah, but the problem's coming through here through the border. And but here's a problem, dude, no. Listen, while you're looking there, they're coming through the border, and they're coming to your home, to your country, to your state, to your city. Yeah, but watch what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. Watch what's going on in Israel and Iran. Bro, for the freaking third time, they're coming through your border. How are you protecting it? Is Egypt more concerned about their border than U.S. is concerned about our border? Can we not take a page out of their playbook to sit there and say, this is why we need a border? This shouldn't be a Democratic or Republican thing. This should be an American thing to say, this is a problem, so watch this. How long does it take until they do their attack for the people that are coming here? Is it a month? No.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh,
is it 3 months?
Soon.
No. Is it 6 months? No. It's when everything is good, no one's paying attention. 8 years from now, we forgot about this entire mess, and then boom. 6,800 people die, and you say, how did this? That's the president's fault. No. It's going to come back to 2021, 2022, 2023, 2020, when we let the border open. All of these people came in, and during this time, half the American people didn't bitch about it, and then all of a sudden you're suffering the consequences because you said it's not a big deal. We should let the people in. We should get the Democratic Party to get more stronger because it's a lot of Latino voters, and we know Latino voters are going to vote for the left if we bring them in here, and then you're going to pay the price. My concern of America First is if there's ever been a time to just say, shut the border up for 1 year. Made a video the other day talking about policies I would do if I was a president. Obviously, I'm not running for president. The laws are not favored in that. I'm a capitalist. You know, so one of the first things I would do today, I would close the border for 1 year. We're not taking anybody for a year. It's a waiting list. Remember when I got out of the Army in 99, I wanted to be a firefighter. And I went to the fire department in Granada Hills off of Devonshire and Balboa, right across the street from Ralph's.
Off the 101?
No, in Granada Hills. So I go to this recruiting station. I say, hey, I just got out of the Army, 101st Airborne Division. I'm in shape. I'm this, I'm that. I love America. I want to be a firefighter. We got a 5-year freeze. What do you mean? 2003, it opens up. It's 99. I said, dude, you guys got to hire me. I'm fully qualified.
Yeah.
He says, no, there's a 5-year freeze. 5 years later, they open up the freeze, but it's too late at that time. I'm doing good for myself. What's the moral of the story? If the fire department can have a freeze, if the LAPD can have a freeze, if companies can have a freeze and they're hiring, so can we have a freeze in our border for 1 year. Shut the southern border down. Shut it down. Close it up. Immediately build a wall. Fill it up with additional security. You want to hire 87,000 new IRS agents? Why don't you hire 30,000 new border agents, put them there, protect the freaking place for 1 year? This is no longer a joke. This is serious. You're seeing what's going on there, all the people that are fighting. You're seeing examples of the way they're doing it. Protect the southern border because that's where they're coming through. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, people will say, well, yeah, that's a little extreme. Why would we do something like that? Because that's how you live. You have doors. You have walls. You live in a community where people have to ring the doorbell. So, 82. Yes, we're here Uber Eats. I didn't order no Uber Eats. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't let him in. Why don't you let him in? Because it's your border. It's called your apartment. It's called your house. It's called your community. If you want a border in your apartment, in your house, in your community, why don't you want a border in the southern border of America? Again, I'm not telling the people that are already with this. I'm telling the people that are saying, what's the big deal? That's what I'm talking to.
Yeah, and great point. And Adam, I'll give it to you. Here's the effed up thing, Pat. The border, after all this, right now, still wide open. Nothing has changed. Mayorkas hasn't done anything. If you still have the attitude of what Pat just said, you know what they're going to say, Pat? You're uncaring. You're racist. You don't care. This is what America is for, is open arms. You understand what I'm saying, Adam? It hasn't changed one iota. It's still the same that it was since all this is happening and nothing is stopping. So here's my question to you guys, Pat. What can we do, us as a people right now, to try to get that message where it's like, yo, like, shut it down? Is there anything there's nothing we could do, right? Tom? Nothing.
You got to vote. You got to talk to
Vote
congressmen.
what? No, it's right now. Right now. The border's wide
You and
open.
I are not going to, under the Second Amendment, pick up arms and go pick some part of the border that we're going to defend. That's not the way it works. We need the leadership of this country, and the governors of Texas, the governor of Arizona, the governor now, by the way, governors of Illinois and New York, because all of those people coming across were supposed to stay in those red states, make life miserable for the red states, and be the replacement vote later. Look up replacement vote, people. Google that.
Yeah.
Instead, they are now being shipped to, not by DeSantis sending a couple buses to New York, the federal freaking government sending a dozen buses of them, dropping them in Chicago, dropping them in New York, until you have the governor of New York, governor of Illinois saying, we don't need the people here. Well, look upstream. Where is it? So we need the governors. We need all of them to get together to say we need sensible border policy, because close the border, everybody's going to say racist. Sensible immigration policy is the way that this needs to be adopted on the wider basis.
Yeah, but Tom, you said it's we can't, the Second Amendment, we can't just take arms and go, but in the Constitution, it's for enemies foreign and domestic. At one point, we're going to have to be like, yo, listen, if you guys aren't doing it, we'll do it. There's enough Americans out there, bro, that'll go up there and post the hell up and be like, yo, it's enough, because he nailed it, Tom. This might not happen.
Ranchers, hang on, I think I appreciate your passion, but what about all those ranchers that were in Arizona that got arrested?
Tom, I understand being arrested, but he made a great point.
The government did not let the citizens
protect
the border of Arizona.
I think it's bullshit, Tom, because you know what? He nailed it. This might not happen this week. That Hamas loser tried to be like a day of terrorism. It didn't happen. It's eventually going to happen because we have no idea who the hell we let in. Enough is enough. When are we going to stop yapping and do shit? I'm not saying go there with a gun and be at the border, but come on, man. Enough is enough. And then we keep bringing Mayorkas in Congress, and he just sits there with a smirk and smiles and laughs in our faces because they already know the damage has been done, Tom. The damage is done. The people are here. Now it's a waiting game. It's a waiting game for when they get the call to make shit happen, and it's going to happen.
Adam, sleeper cells.
Let me kind of try to put a ribbon on this entire argument, because it started off the conversation with Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, comparing the analogy of murder and execution and rape and beheadings to fentanyl crisis. I hear what Pat is saying, and it's reminiscent of what Trump said is build a wall, and we'll have a big, beautiful door, and we'll vet the hell out of people because we don't want this basically migrant crisis pouring through our country. Totally understand the America First agenda. Totally get it. Totally get it. What Ben Shapiro said was, America should have the ability to walk and chew gum at the same time, morally speaking. America, whether you agree with this or not, we have a domestic policy and a foreign policy. And it's always been that case. Are we going to be isolationists and only pretend that we exist in America in a bubble and the rest of the world doesn't exist? I think that is a nonsensical solution.
It's never been that way.
Exactly.
It's never been that way.
Are we going to be absolute interventionists and dip our toes into every single conflict that exists around the world? We'll drive ourselves crazy doing that.
But
so the point is,
kind of done that.
Exactly. So the point is, there needs to be a balance, and there needs to be nuanced perspective to how this works. So the reason that we're going to bat for Israel at this point is because they're our ally in the Middle East. It's a fair exchange of value. A lot of it has to do with military intelligence and basically information that occurs in the Middle East. Who else are we going to come to their defense? Are we coming to Iran's defense? Saudi Arabia? Are we helping Lebanon? Who do we trust there? We trust Syria, Bashar al-Assad. There are one ally that we know we can 100% depend on in the Middle East. And ultimately, here's the point. So America is a land of immigrants. We all come from someplace. So if you don't speak up when something is completely morally and historically wrong, like the murder of people intentionally, how do you let this happen? What do you stand for, America? Who do you believe in? When do you speak out? So when this happens in Armenia and there's Armenian genocide, do we say, hey, that's none of our business? When it happens in Mexico, hey, Mexicans, hey, it's none of our business. When this happens in Ireland, hey, it's none of our business.
No.
At some point, we have to say, we're freaking America. We stand for something, and we're not just going to let innocent people be murdered.
But by the way, absolutely valid argument, valid point. As a person who's Armenian and seeing what's going on with Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan and all that stuff, I fully understand being emotionally there, okay? I fully understand. But he wasn't there when it was Armenia, this was happening. He wasn't fully there with all of it, right? Why? Because it should matter to you the most because it's personal. This issue should be the most important thing for you because it's your homeland, right? It should be personal to me as a person who lived in Iran, and when the Shah was there and Israel was there was peace in the Middle East, and people could go for vacation in the Middle East and go to Iran. We can't do that today. Armenian genocide should be emotional, personal to me because I am half Armenian and Assyrian, and what the genocide did to Assyrians and Armenians 100% should be personal to me. But the other person that's sitting there saying, dude, should everyone's problems be mine? That person also has a very good argument to make.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.